Mercedes switches back to wider side pods? Mercedes' team is in the record books as the most successful constructor in history by winning 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships. It is not an easy task to produce a car that is dominant over a large time span like 8 years. We had seen such a dominancy only during the Schumacher Ferrari era back in the early 2000s. Since the start of the turbo hybrid era, Ferrari was the only team that was capable of threatening their championship hopes to a certain extent on those years. But last year, they lost the driver's title to Max Verstappen with the sudden rise of the Honda-powered Red Bull team. From the start, the year 2022 is a bad season for Mercedes, with many issues in their W13, pushing them surprisingly to the midfield. They have introduced a number of upgrades to their W13, but still, it is not competitive enough to move into the front. Hey guys, welcome back to F1 Leaked, the best place for your daily dose of trending news and gossips regarding Formula 1. Before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the notification bell for more exciting updates. Things started to turn upside down for Mercedes when new regulation changes are introduced for the 2022 season, introducing completely different body designs. All the teams went for a body design that includes wider side pods, but Mercedes opted for a zero-pod design after testing with a wider side pod body design during the first preseason testing in Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Many Formula 1 pundits question the aerodynamical behavior as well as the legality of the body design. As guessed by many, this year's Mercedes Challenger was full of problems, making it undrivable for the very experienced 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton as well. Their main issue was the porpoising problem of the car, which was a headache for many teams since the beginning of the season. Front-running teams like Red Bull and Ferrari also suffered hugely from this problem, but solved the issue within the first 2 or 3 races without making any harm to their championship hopes. Many people asked whether they are switching back to a wider pod body design during Spanish GP. But they have other plans, and they are going to test the doubts about zero-pod design by running the same older specs for the Spanish GP as well. This Grand Prix is going to be held in the same venue where Mercedes used a wider pod body design during the preseason testing, and this will be a golden opportunity for them to make a better comparison between those two body designs. In response to the rumors about Mercedes switching to the wider pod specs, Toto Wolff said, "Well, I wouldn't discount anything, but we need to give all our people benefit of the doubt. They have produced great race cars in the past, and we believe that this is the route to go. Barcelona is definitely going to be a point in time where we are able to correlate with what we saw in February and gather more data. I am also annoyed that I am always saying the same thing a lot, gathering data and making experiments, but it is physics and not mystics, and therefore you have to unpick the bones," Wolff added further. Even the pundits as well as fans guessed that the zero-pod design is the cause for the porpoising problem of the car. Mercedes' team has a different opinion on that matter. Clearly, the Barcelona launch car is much slower on paper, but we need to find out how we can make the current car work predictably for the drivers. We're not looking at the lady next door and if we like it more or not because it's still good. As a matter of fact, we need to understand before you make a decision to switch to another concept, where did this go wrong? What is the goodness of the concept and what is the badness of the concept? And that is a question you can only respond to yourself. But I would be asking ourselves to get an answer after Barcelona because that's the real correlation we have. And by then, we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, did we get it wrong or not? Wolff added further on their decision to stick with the same older specs for Spanish GP as well. The most interesting fact is that the zero-pod design was tested by Haas last year during their 2022 car development process, and they understood some of the shortcomings of that design. Then, they opted for the wider side pod design, which they saw more potential aerodynamically. Unfortunately, Mercedes engineers saw more potential in the zero-pod design, which was rejected by Haas earlier. Even though this unconventional zero-pod body design gives an alien appearance to the Mercedes W13, it may not be the real cause for the main porpoising issue of the car. Red Bull Chief Designing Officer Adrian Newey hinted that there is more than one airflow under the floor, and that is important to make them work together to solve this issue. This is something that cannot be modeled in a wind tunnel and the area where other technical teams are blind. Teams like Ferrari mainly work with the riding height of the car at the beginning to solve the porpoising issue, but later they came with the more floor-based design change as Red Bull, and it seems to be that they have solved the issue to a greater extent during Miami GP. Mercedes was unable to make more adjustments to their riding height as it cost the performance of the car, reducing the downforce. Now, the latest rumors report that they are also opted for a floor design change and a front wing upgrade during the Spanish GP to solve the porpoising issue. Other changes to the body component, without causing much effect on zero-pod design, achieved consolatory results during the Miami GP. Mercedes drivers finished the race in 5th and 6th position, only behind Red Bull and Ferrari drivers. Now it seems like they have clearly stayed ahead of the midfield, but with a clear performance deficit compared to the top two teams. If they are lucky enough to solve the main porpoising issue through the upgrades they bring to the Spanish GP, Mercedes still has a slim chance of keeping the hopes on the driver's title. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to not miss anything related to Formula One. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.